Hey guys, welcome to another session of Epic 7. This is kind of an unusual video for me, as if you guys are still watching my YouTube channel, you would be like, I'm very uninvolved, and it's been like art videos and stuff like that, but I'm going to try to get into it, guys. But first things first, I'm going to start off with the weekend that just passed. So the previous weekend, we had the E7, like 7th year anniversary, like the festivities part 2, right? So we had a crazy like 6 weeks, a month and a half of crazy rewards and content and stuff like that. And then we had the reveal of ML Ross, him being like free, looking pretty good. I'll probably make another video on him. And then of course, ML Mercedes, which has to be a 5-star based on that design, which I'll probably make a video for her as well. So again, this video is unrehearsed. I just really wanted to talk about the E7WC up to this point. So give you guys a bit of background, why I've been kind of AFK from YouTubing from the E7 scene is just because, as mentioned sparsely in some of my past videos, I've been busy last year, especially with moving. So I moved to a different country. I even missed the previous E7WC like completely. I didn't watch it at all. I was busy with like, again, moving and all that kind of stuff, paperwork, getting settled down. So Hazim Array, even though he won, I knew about him winning because I got the ring and stuff like that. We all got the stuff, but I didn't have that much context to him. I didn't know how good he was until I saw like the what do they call it, the qualifiers or whatever, in the previous couple weeks. E7WC is still like, outside of some of the production stuff that Epic 7 constantly struggles with, like audio levels. I think that's my biggest gripe, to be honest. Music is way too loud sometimes. Can't hear the commentators, or some commentators are not even. I think that kind of stuff could be addressed in rehearsal. All the cool graphics you see on screen right now. Oh, so basically I'm rewatching one of my VODs because this is what I have access to. In the background, I will scroll. This is not going to be a long ranty video. I have one thing I want to talk about, which I feel like it kind of disappointed me, I have to say. So to give you context for this video and why I'm passionate about even talking about this, is that, again, like all the stuff that the production value that Epic 7 brings to a mobile game nonetheless is still pretty good, okay? Some of the commentary on currently the player portraits. So we're talking about like the actual players like Light, Kirkbat, Nero, everyone in general so far. Like they have varying qualities of photography, which I get because like Epic 7 would ask them to take a photo to pose like an esports person. And everybody has different cameras, so I mean they're doing the best, right? That's quality control that could probably be improved. They can probably do something about that in the future. That's my critique, as some of you guys know I'm a visual guy, I'm an artist, dude. Anyways, going back to my point of this video. So far the matchups are pretty good. I have to say, like at least for this video, for this week, it was right after that E7 festivities thing, so that thing took way longer than it should, in my opinion. That's I said that on a live commentation, which I posted on YouTube as well. So if you're following on YouTube and you haven't watched that, feel free to watch it. I wouldn't recommend watching it. I realized my audio levels are really bad there. For whatever reason, my stream chat didn't tell me that you can hardly hear me, but whatever, it is what it is. And I think that festivities video, like the first 20 minutes was pretty hype. There was a lot of stuff that's, player forward, as in changes players want. And then we got a lot of cool artwork and stuff like that. And then it ended up being like really long. Talking about the game balance team, and then the game balance team had their heads blocked, probably for privacy reasons, just in case like people really hate the balancing team or the balance job they do. So I don't blame them for blocking it, but it's almost like why block it, and I could not follow that at all. It's not that I was like I couldn't read the subtitles, it's just like I really didn't care, because ultimately I think every gamer, it doesn't matter what the context is for you to do a bad balance patch. Now I'll say like some balance patches are good, but I'm saying in general, there's no excuse for the developers to be like, oh yeah, like our hands are tied or whatever. Like the gamers, all they care about is the result, right? So they only care about is something hype or not. They don't care why it's not hype, right? So that's something, you know, as a fellow game dev myself, I would recommend Smilegate. Not you don't have to be that transparent in the purpose of like, oh yeah, we screwed up this because we're busy or because we got our hands tied. I don't think that's really nice for the players to see. I don't think it really helps, but that's my opinion. So with the context of that, this portion of the tournament definitely. So I basically had to watch it till much later, right? Because we had a hour 45-minute video that we had to go through first. And so the E7WC had to be pushed back, and because now it's like best out of 5, which I don't mind. Best out of 5 is good, especially we got the top talent, top players showcasing their skills. I don't mind best out of 5, but it was definitely a long night. And now let me get to like the main point of this video. So I'm gonna kind of skip down here. Basically, something happened with one of the players I'm really rooting for this E7WC, which is Light. Okay, now Light, you know, he doesn't need anyone to be sucking up to him or whatever. He's very well known. He probably doesn't even know who I am, to be honest. But for you, those who are watching it, all I want to kind of address is disqualification round. So if you watched it, you know what I'm talking about. I kind of want to hear what you guys think, because I wanted to kind of have a vibe check in terms of like, am I totally off base here? And I'll explain my reasoning, but for those who don't know what happened, I'll probably just fast forward to that fight itself. Now, since we're passing through the video and I'm just going to be like skipping, I definitely have to say the matchup with Matsumi versus Gomiaomi or KJ is very, very one-sided. Now that being said, it's not saying that, you know, Matsumi didn't deserve to be here, but definitely this matchup was the least, like I wasn't worried at all that KJ would lose, to be honest. If we're talking about that what do you call it? Not betting event, but the, you know, the pick'em event that we have in our game. So let me skip down here. Also, KJ has been very consistent throughout this E7WC. I know that in some previous E7WCs, he's had like points where he chokes and stuff. For old time viewers, and you've seen KJ in every single E7WC, you know what I'm talking about. He's been very consistent. He probably was even last year. I think he made it really far, and even the previous year before that. But I think this year he's showing like the most consistency. That's something I have to say. And even for someone who is not like a RTA hardcore follower, he's definitely very, very fun to watch, I have to say. The Facepump versus Sayak one, I don't have much commentary except that I think Facepump did a really good job. I'm a Elf Mage supporter. Elf Mage himself helped me in a content creator tournament a couple years ago. Learn a lot about that meta and just RTA in general. So I really, you know, I was really surprised Facepump took him. But like no dissing to Elf Mage, but everybody was just like, oh man, every time he chokes, but there's always next year, Elf Mage, if you're hearing this. But Facepump definitely felt off, I think, versus Sayak. But at the same time, I felt like Sayak, up to this point, had, even though he was more cocky. Now, I personally don't. I'm not a real big like cocky supporter. Facepump, even if he wins, he tries to be modest. He tries to hide it. I like that a bit better. But Sayak is like, you know, but it's his personality. He's a bit more cocky, a bit more like, you know, he I think he does some like flexing and kissing of his biceps or something like that. I might be exaggerating, but it felt like that kind of. It's content, so he might just be that kind of guy. It's all good, but Sayak, up to this point, he hasn't been as, I think, consistent as KJ. So I feel like for Facepump versus Sayak, I think Sayak kind of steamrolled Facepump in the sense that Facepump, I felt like he wasn't on his full game. So I think it would have been a more 50-50, and it shouldn't have been as bad as it was. That's my commentary on that. Let me quickly skip down here. Nero and Crooked I will have to say here, I'm gonna say this commentary. If you didn't watch it again, of course, Epic 7 probably has this on their YouTube channel, so you can watch the whole thing. But assuming you did, I definitely have to say Crooked took out one of my guildmates 5 or 5ers, and it was such a brutal thing. And now 5 is a very humble guy, so even in our guild chat, he was saying that, nah, like, Crooked drafted really well. I think Crooked drafted good enough, but at the same time, 5 lost because Crooked RNG was just too crazy. Now, hold on, wait, let me pause this for a sec. This is one of the things I was talking about. Look at the Photoshop on Crooked. Okay, the head, his head proportion is not right to his body proportion. His head is too big for this body. That's not his real. That's not the right head on the body. I don't know who did that. Was it Smilegate? Was it Crooked himself? And that's what he submitted. Also, the other thing is that the facial picture was taken at night for sure, because you can tell that the camera worked harder. That's why it's grainy. So if you look at the blacks of the beard, all right, I'm not making a racist joke, guys. The color black of the beard is a bit more faded out. It has a washed out tone, and you look at this face is washed out. You can almost imagine like a layer of white on it compared to his like arms, which of course he's jacked in this. The other thing is that he has the common what do you call flash photography, the red eye, which is super surprising because I think like digital cameras right now, they correctively push out the red eye, but either way, like the lighting is just not consistent. So someone either himself or Smilegate photoshopped his head onto that body. Now, if it's Crooked himself, I have to say, Crooked dude, you look fine, especially in the live camera. I don't know why you had to photoshop your face onto an old photo of your body. Now, I think that body photo is actually from his previous E7WC, because the other thing about me is, I think that's with being an artist, is that I have near eidetic memory. So I can tell that's an old photo, as in that photo has been used before. I just don't know why you had to Photoshop your head in it, or while Smilegate had to. I really don't know. So that was the quality control thing I mentioned at the beginning of this rant, that Smilegate should really look out for. It's just that the production quality, everything else is great outside of sometimes the audio, but then the visuals, it's like that needs to be kind of tightened up a bit. Maybe have someone on the Smilegate side do some touching up so that the photos look more consistent, you know? Like maybe apply a filter to all the photos, like, or like, you know, increase or decrease some of the contrast, and, you know, bring the color values similar. That would be super good. That's just a note I would probably do. It won't take too long, to be honest. You don't have that many player photos to go through. And you can make templates in Photoshop and stuff like that. So anyways, that being said, Crooked RNG was against him this time. That was my point. When his RNG was like 100% versus 5ers, I remember there was like a counter and like 2 or 3 dual attacks back to back, like resist or something. Like it's like crucial game breaking stuff that caused 5er to lose, in my opinion. But Crooked really got RNG'd poorly here. I think there was like a fight where Nero had like a Captain Landy or something, and it's like it countered every turn. Anyways, I'm not gonna go through it again, but that was pretty funny. It was really it was Hua Yang. This Hua Yang had like counter every single turn, and it was on a counter when she was in the, like, we could probably just watch this live, man. Literally, like, what's it, 1, 2, 3. I don't know if that soul burn was necessary there, but I guess no soul burn really matters at this point. But but yeah, counters every time Sigurd is procced or Sigurd is like active, so she always got the heal. So I think like Jacko here hits oh wait, after this Jacko hits and it's like perfect counter. And then I think like Euphine hits and it's like it's no counter or something like that, and it counters on the next one. Yeah, I think so. I remember this, and it counters on the, oh wait, she just dies here, never mind. It was a soul burn S3. So yeah, it was crazy. Look at Crooked pose on the top right. He just like couldn't believe it. But I will have to say that is my experience going against like ML Hua in like arena. So to be honest, Crooked, you shouldn't feel too bad about that. Okay, so The Nero, of course, took this one. If you guys watched it, so I'm gonna skip down to my main gripe about it, and is the disqualification of Light. So let me talk about this. So Light has been obviously active in World Arena ever since the inception of World Arena, at least in Epic 7. And I've seen him in different tournaments, like content creator tournaments and E7WC, even on his own streams. There's sometimes where he's just like, maybe it's the meta, but sometimes you feel like he's good, but he's not like insanely dialed in consistent. Now, even looking at the E7WC win rate, 85%, I think it's one of the highest win rates. And he did really, really well, even up to this point. So I was telling my stream chat, because at first I was like, okay, you know, Hazemare, if he won again, you know, back-to-back winner, that's always kind of hype. Although like I said before, I don't have the context to it. But when Light showed in the round 16 match, again, I forgot what that part of the tournament was called, but his fights there were very, very good. I'm like, okay, this guy is someone that, because I like players who can outthink, right? Not so much just like, oh, rely on gear gapping, like you're just a speed demon, but like he knows how to play like really well. So I think after all the years that he's put into it, I felt like, you know, this time out of the 8, KJ is really cool to root for, but I think my bet's on Light, and I kind of want him. I want to see him get a win. So in this matchup, there was this. So let me skip down a bit. I think it was round 2. So I think Light took round 1, and then round 2, Xiao took. I think is here. Let me see here. This is round 1. He took, and I think round 2. Xiao took, and then round 3 was the disqualification one. I think so. Yeah. This one I think kind of shook Light. We were all worried about it, but I think Light's draft and his play in the 3rd round, which in my opinion should have been his win. And this is where the contradiction or the conflict, the dilemma comes in. And this is where I kind of want you guys' input, like main input, right? You could input throughout all the commentary I had up to this point, of course, but this is like the main input. It's like, do you think he should have been disqualified for that new artifact on his DJB? Now I have my Epic 7 opened up, and I kind of want to go through my thought process on it. So let me skip down here a bit. So first things first, the draft, I think when we saw Schneel, everybody was like, whoa, what? And I think he ended up using A-Ross to protect the Payra, and he basically had like DJB to sustain. I think that was like the play. And I think, does Schneel even heal? Anyways, we could probably go through that. And then this one too, he banned the Politics, which to me was kind of strange. I thought that was a weird ban. I thought it would have been like Janua or something, but regardless, I think he still would have won if he didn't get disqualified. So I think something like with Schneel is that like DDR pretty much can't press his buttons, right? I think that's like pretty much it. I'm gonna allow this to play a bit naturally just in case I skip it. And Light did a really good job of tiptoeing all the way around that Janua. And it ended up being like, I think a 4v1 against that Janua, and I think he would have won that way. That Yufine was a no damage Aureus Yufine as well, which I think in Xiao's case, I think that was not a good choice for this specific like matchup. The DDR wouldn't be able to do any damage because Schneel's on the field. And then Arya and Janua is the only one. But since no one's proccing Janua, Oh, actually, you know what? Light is actually probably right. So he banned the Politis. I would have probably banned the Janua, but I mean, he had to ban one of the two, right? So I think he figured out, like, you know, he could totally just take an advantage of the Para pop. I will say that Light got really lucky with that miss there. That could have been the end. I think he would have just called it end if that Para died. So to Xiao's credit, Light may have lost anyway, even if he wasn't disqualified. But I think even up to this point, I'm still thinking, oh, there's no problem. He can actually win. So I'm getting hyped, right? It's kind of like these clutch battles where, yes, you have that kind of 50% RNG on that Para. Like, is it going to hit? Is it not? And that's like the game breaking thing. But then to have the, like, he pushed so far, he played so well. And then to have that disqualification thing come in, that was pretty bad. I think we're getting near it. I think he has to kill off the Yufine. And it was a Janua because it's like, obviously, relatively speaking, it's slower. I think he does it here. I think he gets like DQ'd here. Oh, he was going for the Aria, but I somehow remember that he almost got Yufine all dead. But yeah, just keep in mind that Yufine was a tank Yufine anyway. So yeah, he probably has to go for the Aria. Since it's Aureus Yufine, you don't want to hit that Yufine early and then get her to go into the S3. So ideally, like, don't hit her and then don't counter, right? So yeah, that was all good. So like his play was still really good here, really consistent. Yeah, it's coming up. I can see the preview of G Clef, Valky, and Carr. And then this is where I'm gonna spend most of the time. So if you watch up to this point, yeah, so this is it. So at first we thought that it was a disconnect, and you know, no one really questioned it, right? Because I didn't even notice the artifact, but that, without that even being said, like, obviously Smallgate has the right to know what the artifact was. But so let me keep playing it for a sec. So we got disqualified here, and I think G Clef was explaining basically he got notice. I think in a bit, actually, he got the notice later. Like at this point, everybody just thought it was like a regular like disconnect or something, and he gets the note that that Light was using a like prohibited artifact. Now the artifact I'm talking about is Cure All Magic Wand. So I'm gonna bring my game onto screen right now and then use this as like an analysis point here. So this artifact is Guardian Ice Crystals, but just like the MOAS, the Karina Rocket Punch artifact, because I guess Epic 7 couldn't get the agreement to do like a rerun of the ReZero collab, like we're not gonna get the Guardian Ice Crystals. Now they even made these artifacts as preparation to know that, okay, these artifacts are pretty good, they're limited, but we know we're not gonna get those heroes, so we're gonna create this specifically artifact banner, right? Remember, this was like given to us about like 6 months ago or something like that, maybe not even. So this was supposed to be Guardian Ice Crystals. I think mine is, okay, yeah, so one of mine is on Death Dealer Ray. Okay, so his disqualification was that he had his DJB on this artifact. Now notice mine is also on this artifact. Now it's not even because I put it on for a demonstration purpose. It's because it was a new artifact and my DJB at that time was not geared. Now in Light's case, that's not going to be the case, okay? I don't know how many GIC Light has. Some of you actually might. If you're watching this commentary, you probably have talked to Light, and Light has probably mentioned it on his stream or whatever. Now, I haven't, heard anything about his commentary on this specific one. He probably just like, you know what, it is what it is. And you know what, that's ultimately the mindset. But keep in mind my context, right? I had to wait an extra 1 hour 45 minutes for this tournament to start, and with the best out of 3, and Light was the one I was kind of rooting for, and I think that he played well, and even in the round that he got disqualified, I still think he would have won. And to be banned over an artifact that has the exact same functionality, but to be banned on the technicality that you can't use like a new artifact because of the name. Now, I've heard both sides. It's like that is Epic 7's rule, and totally, I think. So there's this saying called the letter of the law versus the spirit of the law, right? So the spirit of the law would be like something that is a bit more vague, but it kind of gets to the point. And the letter of the law is literally like to the T or to the letter. All right. So this is more for like my non-English speaking audience. Maybe you have not heard that, but what Epic 7 decided to do at that point was basically go by the letter of the law, even though I think the spirit of the law should have been granted here. Now, all that being said, we've had cheaters in the past in E7WC because, you know what, $50,000 is not nothing. So obviously, like, people who want to exploit the game will exploit it. I personally do not think Light exploited in terms of he wanted to exploit. Okay, so I think the context for like why Epic 7 had to be like, oh, the letter of the law is because they've had cheaters and they don't want people to riot saying that, hey, you know what, you said no artifacts past this point, and then Light got through. And then for people who are Xiao's fans, they would be angry. So I get it. So what did Light do wrong, right? In my opinion, he probably overlooked it. Because I think even if I was part of the E7WC and I read the rules, right? I read the rules. Before the Summer Hua and the Aram, they weren't allowed in that round of 16 part of the tournament when people were trying to get into the main bracket. People didn't use it, right? Because they know those are new artifacts. They know those are new heroes. Now, Epic 7 can easily in their code have actually restricted it, as in like you couldn't even pick the characters that had those artifacts equipped. They've done it in the past, where if you equip an artifact that is not kosher, but on a hero that hero would be disabled from the RTA. And I have, at least in the past, played enough RTA to know that is 100% true. So it's not so much Epic 7's fault. It would have been nice if they did that, because then Light would have been like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, this artifact, you know, is not is not kosher for this. So let me replace one of my real allowable Guardian Ice Crystals onto my DJB. Now, this is the other thing too. This is why I brought up all the Soul Weavers. I don't even play RTA, but there's enough of just from the E7WC and enough from just chatters and whatnot to know that at this moment in this meta, there aren't that many Soul Weavers that require Guardian Ice Crystals. At least not in the Lunatic mode, and also not in the E7WC in terms of the caliber of those players. If you look at the list of these Soul Weavers, right? They would not be on Guardian Ice Crystals. Like Bunny Dom, if you're extra whale and you have like 20 Guardian Ice Crystals, sure, like arguably you could say that for anything. But I think no matter what DJB, his best in slot artifact is Guardian Ice Crystals in this meta. Because generally speaking, you're playing DJB with like an FCC. Generally speaking, right? You want to pick them both. So Guardian Ice Crystals makes perfect sense. He wouldn't need something like a Soul Constellation, or do people still run Eternus? I highly doubt it with Soul Constellation, but you wouldn't need those because those are like more aggro or reactive, but DJB wouldn't be picked into that because you would, again, like I said, usually pick into FCC. Even though in Light's fight, I don't think there was an FCC, but there was a barrier, and maybe Light knew that Xiao's Yufine was a protection set Yufine on Aureus. Maybe he knew that, and I think Xiao picked his Yufine before DJB, and even if he didn't, maybe Light just wanted something stable like a DJB and he knew he was going to pick A-Ross, but and he needed that barrier, so he couldn't have Shao pick it. Regardless of the case, you could dissect it how far you want. DJB would, his best in slot would most likely be Guardian Ice Crystals. All right. For those of you in RTA, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I'm pretty right on this. Sharoon wouldn't be. Singelica, I don't think anybody uses. Death Dealer Ray would probably be one of them as well, because he's highly picked. And GIC would definitely work with his type of playstyle. He needs some kind of support with him to tank it and then just Venom burst down his opponents, right? So he'd be Guardian Ice Crystals. Diane I saw played like once or twice throughout the entire E7WC, and she could arguably be on Ice Crystals as well, but her cycling is so good that Rod or something like Celestine probably be a bit better. But arguably you can say, yeah, she's on Guardian Ice Crystals. Amelia would definitely not be. She's very aggro. You wouldn't have it. Aram, now that she's usable, maybe you would have it. And then everyone else, I don't know if you would use anyone else. Like maybe Ruel in some kind of play. She might be on Guardian Ice Crystal. So let's be like very real. I think Haste would always be Celestine. Just because S1, S2 is just way too big. Him being on Guardian Ice Crystal would just not be... I think it would be a bit low in terms of the healing over time. So I think Haste would still be on Celestine. Young Senya, arguably, she could be, but she might be on Proof of Friendship. Destina, maybe. So if you just count how many of the meta Soul Weavers, really, I would say there's like top three, and DJB would be one of the top three. Again, I'm using the criteria of Lunatic Draft and the caliber of the E7WC. Now, for me, I am not, like, if my Guardian Ice Crystals, as you saw, I had like, I think I have one level 30. Where was it? Was it on anyone? It might not even be equipped, so let me double check. Okay, it's right here. No, I sometimes swap this onto my Young Senya for Guild War or something, so that's why it's unequipped, because I swap Proof of Friendship in this. So, assuming Light is in sort of the same scenario as me, but he most likely wouldn't, he would probably bottle all of the artifacts that he could get his hands on, knowing that Lunatic Draft needs a big unit spread. He most likely didn't, again, like I said, the spirit of the law, right? He didn't even think about this is a new artifact. He just saw this and he saw GIC. And I think it's going to be a long time before people are going to mention this artifact by its actual name, the Cure-All Magic one, instead of saying GIC, right? I think for a really long time, people are going to say GIC, 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 and people are like, oh, I don't have enough. And they're like, oh, do you have this, right? Or buy this from the powder shop. And they would still refer to this as a GIC because, again, the spirit of this artifact is literally GIC. I think Light, again, his naivete, and it's not a diss on him. I'm on his side on this one, to be honest. I wish that he didn't get disqualified for it, and that actually really made me pissed because after this fight, I felt Light almost lost his concentration. Whereas like if he lost like in round 2, he lost to Shao legitimately, it almost felt like he didn't get, like he didn't throw him off. At least his round 3, his picks, his whole gameplay, it was really good. It was really solid. I had doubts, right? I was like, what? Why not ban Janu, or why not ban the damage dealer? Why the politics? But it turned out like he was right. Like he was cooking. And so like that's honestly like my big thing was like, man, I felt really bad. And I even told my Discord community the next day. I'm like, I went to sleep at like 3:30ish. Fell asleep at like 3:30, woke up at like 6-7 a.m. my time, and then I was like, bro, I was still thinking about it. I was still thinking about like, I could have saved an hour of time, and they had to put like the player I was rooting for at the last game, like at the last match, because all throughout the stream I was saying to the guys, I don't know if I can last, like I might go to sleep, but Light was at the end, so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna watch to the end, right? Oh, man, it was so disappointing to me. Light would now be in the losers bracket, so he had to climb his way up. It's not impossible for him, to be honest, because you have to think about the losers bracket as well, right? Like, I think, again, no dissing to any of the players. Kurkabat is still a very dangerous player. Matsumi, I think he's not as consistent as the others, so I think he might be an easy win. Face Pump, if Facebump tightens up and is more confident in his drafting, I think he also has a shot. So I would say like Kurkabat as the first danger, Facepump second, and then Matsumi third. So like Light has a good chance, and then whoever is gonna get knocked down right before the finals as well. So Light has to kind of climb that battle to climb back up. But in my opinion, it was really sad to see. Like at this point, I muted the VOD on purpose. Cause at this point, I was like, I don't really curse, but in essence, I was like pretty pissed off. Let me even get reminded of his draft. I don't know if he drafted poorly, to be honest, but it definitely. Let's see here. He was first pick. Yeah, I don't know. Like the first pick Elia thing was kind of. Yeah, he kind of got to the point where I think Flan was the banned one, right? Like I think it would make sense. I'm looking at the draft right now. And then he has to ban Solitaria or there's Surmia, and he's still not getting a turn, right? Oh no, he didn't. Wait, what? He still lost this? Hold on. Oh, he didn't ban the. Okay, he didn't ban the Surmia. Yeah. Anyways, I mean, I'm now going on to LRTA commentary, which I should not have any right to do that. Oh yeah, Oh yeah, Xiao's Tori was way too powerful. I remember this now. It just nuked too fast, too hard. And Xiao's entire draft is all full of just nuke damage. It was really hard to sustain this one. Yeah. Yeah, I remember once that haste was gone, it was like pretty much over, right? I'm watching this. I think at this point I was very still, like very lost. In terms of just like I feel like my mind was probably what Light was thinking as well. But at this point, like Light is trying to balance the okay, I gotta focus. Whereas I'm just a backseater. So like I'm just ranting. I'm not even focused on the fight. So I actually don't remember how he lost in this one. Well, yeah, how did he lose this one? That ball didn't die. I think that was it, wasn't it? He has a speed buff too. And then once that haste is gone, ball sack's gonna be. Yeah, I don't think this was Wait, didn't he play this wrong? Yeah, why wouldn't he kill the ball? Yeah, I think at that point it was like I would have killed the ball. I think I remember commenting this. And I think my stream chat also said that too. But again, we're not E7WC players, so I mean I really don't have much right to say this. Yeah, that S2 into S2 really smart. Maybe Light didn't think about the it couldn't kill that ball, right? Oh, there it is. Yeah, no, I think Tori was too amped up at this point. Yeah, the stun on the Albedo was kind of unlucky as well. He lose one of the dual attack chances too. No, you know what? Like thinking about it, maybe Light still had a chance of winning this, but yeah, no, I didn't feel good. I think if he won that DJB one, I think Light would have taken it, to be honest. I have to say. But anyways, that's pretty much all I had. I just wanted to make a video really just talking about E7WC in general. I will obviously be still streaming the upcoming tournaments, which I think is actually coming up this weekend. So anyways, I'll end this here. If you guys are on Twitch, definitely drop by, say hello, of course. Although you have a lot to choose from. I'll have drops as well, and yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, man. Especially the DJB artifact thing. Again, my point is just like, I think if he knew letter of the law, he would have just swapped the real ice crystals on it. I think Death Dealer would have it, DJB would have it. and then he would come up with different artifacts with the other Soul Weavers. I honestly think that would have been the case, and I wouldn't have made his roster worse. But either way, it is what it is. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. I'll talk to you guys next time.